I hate, that's like I feel like a drunk, like, celebrity getting pulled over by a cop and saying, you know who I am? You gonna give me a ticket? So I said, this is what I do for a living. I said, I instruct people on how to work out, how to eat properly, how to take supplements correctly. I said, this is my profession. I said, I've never had anyone come up to me and actually insinuate that I don't know what I'm doing or that I'm damaging a machine in some capacity. I think your problem is that I'm using it in an unconventional fashion, but I'm still using it in the way that it's supposed to be used, meaning that the pad is torquing upward. I'm just approaching it at a different angle, and maybe it confused you a little bit. He's like, no, and he starts going crazy on me.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
So I'm at the gym, Crunch Fitness, Cape Coral. And I'm doing the side lateral machine, one of my favorite machines for shoulders. I sit on the thing, I put the pad here, do one arm at a time, do the other arm. I get behind it, I put the pad here, come back, I do rear delts. Been doing this for about 25 years. Love the side lateral machine, and it works amazing. Every gym has its own iteration of it. So this guy comes up to me, shaved head guy, looks to be about my age, probably older. And he says, the bearings on this machine, very, very weak. We're getting around to repairing all these machines. You got to be careful. You're not using this machine correctly. So I'm looking around. I'm like, you talking to me? He said, yeah. These machines, you're supposed to sit in the machine and you're supposed to do this. I said, you're telling me how to use this machine? I said, I've been using this machine for 25 years. He's like, well, you're not using it right. So I'm laughing at this point. I'm totally 100% not an arrogant person. Like I don't think I'm better than anyone. Matter of fact, there's probably a lot of people that are better than me, but I think we're all equal, right? So I don't want to come off as being like condescending at all. But I said, listen, I know there are people in the gym that don't know what they're doing, and I'm sure it annoys you. And I don't even know what your position is. He's like, I'm the operations expert here or whatever. I don't even know what title he gave himself. He was like the chief operations person there. I don't even know what he was. I don't remember the exact title, so I don't want to misquote him. He relayed that his title was very important. So I said, I know there are people that don't know what they're doing here, but I'd like to know what you think I'm not doing correctly that's damaging this machine or possibly damaging this machine. He said, well, you're not sitting in the machine right. I said, I'm doing rear delts. He said, well, the machine is not designed to do that. I said, well, I don't understand. What is the machine designed to do? I said, can you enlighten me? Because obviously I'd like to know what you think I'm doing wrong. And he was getting aggravated. He was raising his voice and he was raising his temper. And I almost felt like I was being attacked at this point. So now, me, I don't look for trouble, but when it comes to me, I become very logical and very analytical. And I want to know, what am I doing wrong? Show me. He's like, well, you're on the machine and you're doing this, but you're not sitting down on the machine. I said, isn't the machine designed to torque upwards? The pads go upwards in the torquing movement, right? He's like, yes, that's exactly what they do. I said, so what's the difference if I put a pad on my shoulder and go like this, or if I put the pad behind and go this way? He said, well, you can't push down on the machine because the bearings can't take it. I said, I'm not pushing down. Who would push down on a machine that doesn't go down? It goes up. I said, I'm pushing up on the machine. I said, I would really love for you to demonstrate what I'm doing wrong. And he gets on the machine and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't even know what movement you're doing. I said, I don't even know what you were watching. He said to me, he goes, these machines we're going to break very easily. He goes, I haven't got around to fixing them yet. I said, thanks for the information. And I walked away and I went over to one of the trainers there who I know. And I said, can I ask you a question? Does that guy work for you guys? He's like, yeah, he's part of our staff. I said, what's his title exactly? He's the maintenance guy here. So I got the maintenance guy coming up to me and who's telling me, as if he's Joe Weider, how to work out properly. And that I'm not using the machine properly. Meanwhile, you got people doing, the cockamamie things people do in that gym, you would lose your mind. But he's coming up to me of all people. I even said to him, and I hate doing this because it sounds so pathetic. I said, do you know who I am? I said, which I hate. That's like I feel like a drunk like celebrity getting pulled over by a cop and saying, do you know who I am? You gonna give me a ticket? So I said, this is what I do for a living. I said, I instruct people on how to work out, how to eat properly, how to take supplements correctly. I said, this is my profession. I said, I've never had anyone come up to me and actually insinuate that I don't know what I'm doing or that I'm damaging a machine in some capacity. I think your problem is that I'm using it in an unconventional fashion, but I'm still using it in the way that it's supposed to be used, meaning that the pad is torquing upward. I'm just approaching it at a different angle, and maybe it confused you a little bit. He's like, no, and he starts going crazy on me. I said, listen, I hope you have a very peaceful day. And I walked away again. And that was the end of it. I don't even know what gets into people's heads. I think the guy was having a bad day. I'll write off. Maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe say someone made a comment to him and he didn't like it. And why he felt the need to come to me. Because I'm not as big as I used to be, but I look like I work out. Obviously, I'm in really good shape. When I work out on a machine or on free weight movements, my execution of the movements is pristine because I'm a stickler for that. So I don't know what set him off other than the fact that I think he probably looked over at the machine and saw me doing something in an unconventional way. And rather than, because he probably doesn't even know anything about working out, rather than looking at me and saying, oh, that's an interesting, way he's repurposing the machine, he just automatically went and got pissed off because maybe someone broke a machine earlier or something like that. And he wanted to take out this anger that he had inside on someone. So he took it out of me, the worst person possible. The person I'm the guy who's actually advocating how to use machines properly. And he's actually trying to criticize me, which made his whole plight of what he was trying to do completely neutralized all the good that he was trying to do and made him look like a complete idiot. People around me are looking at me. They're like, is this guy for real? I said, I don't know.